to know is how to handle changes. And handle changes. We can talk about the change in real estate, what the change looks like. But to me, change is something that is happening around you all the time. You already went through many changes in your life, many changes. So how to cope with the change is really a skill that you can build. Any change, whatever is coming your way, you can handle it. And the way to handle it is the same way you're handling the last change. If you did it successfully or if you failed, you can learn from your failures and you can learn from your success. You can also learn from other people's success and other people's failures. And that's very important for you to do. So I wrote down 5 different things that I believe we should cover. Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So the first one I want to cover is really how you adapt to a change and to what's coming and what's happening around you. How do you adapt? Your ability to adjust your strategies. Whatever it is that you do that causes you to be where you are right now is not what you need to do in order to go from point A to point B. Point B is requesting you to do things in addition probably to what you're doing right now, or in exchange to what you've been doing right now. If what you're doing is not working, you got to adjust yourself and change the strategies according to what's coming. So if you see something coming at your way, you can see from a distance already. You read it in the news, other people talking about it, you feel it in the market. For example, when the market is changing from a seller's market to a buyer's market, which we still didn't see in the majority of markets throughout the United States, it's still a seller's market because of lack of inventory. So obviously, we're still in a market, in a seller's market. We've been in a seller's market since before COVID, way before COVID, probably 2015 in most markets. So, but in 2007, we were in a booming seller's market, and 2009 was a buyer's market, and it happened very quickly. So changes are coming. Things are happening all the time. Each time the market crashes or the market is going down or there is a change in the market, there's also change in the economy. There's also change in other areas. So if you look around and you read the news and you keep yourself up to date, you know what's upcoming. You should also feel it in your business. For example, you start to see more inventory available. You're looking at buyers and they're a little bit more picky than what they used to be. There's no bidding wars anymore. And that's a good indication that a new cycle is coming. The problem and the biggest challenges with all of these adjustments is what are you doing between markets? Meaning, when it goes from a seller's market to a buyer's market, there is a gap. The gap is where you need to work a lot harder than you did before in order to earn the same income, if you earn the same income. So you got to take everything into consideration. The new change that's happening right now with NAR, a lot of people are panicking, specifically people who worked with buyers and a buyer agent. If your main business is coming in from working with buyers, that's a problem right now with the change of what's happening with NAR. But if you focused in your career on being a listing agent, and for you, the most important thing is getting listings, which is what it should be really. And that's what you've been focused on doing, and that's what you've been doing. And, working with buyers is it's almost like a side effect of getting listings. Buyers will come to you when you have listings, right? But for the last 10 years, a lot of agents have been working with buyers as their main income. Like when I speak with an agent and he tells me, oh, last year I did 27 deals, and we look closely at it, 90% of it is buyer's deals. So for someone like that, the change that's coming right now is going to be a big change. Talents and your skills will come to play at this moment. When you need to adapt yourself, you have to take your strategy and work on it and refine the strategy in such a way that it's not anymore reflecting what you used to do, but it's reflecting what you need to be doing. You have to change. So what do you need to change in a buyer's market versus seller's market and vice versa? We can talk about all that stuff. There's a lot of detail in it. We can't really cover it in one coaching session, but I will start talking as we go along. Next week, we'll go deeper on each one of those levels. So the first level is your ability to adjust your strategy. You need to be flexible. You need to learn how to be flexible in your behavior. You need to learn how to adjust yourself, how you feel. For example, how do you feel when you're uncomfortable? Is it annoying you? Do you try as fast as possible to fix the problem so that you can feel comfortable again, or you're okay feeling uncomfortable for a while? So your ability to feeling uncomfortable and be comfortable while you're feeling uncomfortable, be comfortable with the feeling. Get used to feeling uncomfortable. It doesn't mean you're going to feel good about it, but it means that you're already trained to go through it, so you can go through it. You have no problem going through it. The majority of people have a problem going through it, therefore they're not going through, they get stuck. And then the wave is passing them. Whatever wave is coming next, the opportunity, of course, is the wave. So if you want to grab the next wave, you got to be prepared. And the first thing you need to be able to do is to adjust yourself, and you need to be flexible about who you choose to be. For example, what I mean by that is many people say, this is who I am, this is how I am built, all my life I've been this way, therefore, and they make a conclusion. That conclusion is not a positive conclusion because it makes you stuck where you are. Change requires the ability to adapt, to adjust, to change. And yes, we can talk about business changes, what needs to be changed in your business. We can talk about it, but it's not important in my opinion. In my opinion, what's important is how you are feeling inside of yourself and how you develop yourself, self-development, to a place where you feel comfortable with anything that comes your way. You understand it's part of the process. It's part of the blessing that's coming to you. In order to obtain blessing, you got to be able to utilize your capacity to receive. And you can't receive when you're anxious. You can't receive when you have fear. You can't receive when you have, when you're not sure about what needs to be done, and you feel like you're really scared and you don't want to act because you feel uncomfortable. So to me, if I feel comfortable with changes, whatever change comes my way, I'll adjust. I'll find a way to go through it. So, but that's only if I did the self-development work. If I didn't do it, and I say I am who I am, and I was always like this, and etc. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. Oh, you don't like me? Here's the door. That's an idiot approach. I used to be that idiot. I used to be like that. Oh, you don't like it? It's okay. Here's the door. And I lost a lot of business, and I lost relationships, and I pissed people off, and it was just a loss. It's a big loss, not knowing how to adjust yourself and make changes. We spoke in prior coaching sessions about making changes, and we spoke about self-development many times. I keep bringing it forward because to me it's the most important thing. If you are able to feel comfortable in any situation, even when you feel uncomfortable, be comfortable with that. I understand the feeling, doesn't feel so good. Every new shoe that I bought, for the first couple of times that I wore the shoe, I felt uncomfortable. It's a little bit pressing, it's uncomfortable, right? You can't walk too much with it. You got to break it in. So, but then you're comfortable. So if you can feel comfortable and okay with changes and with cycles and what's coming, if you can feel comfortable, okay, I don't feel so good right now. I understand. I can still do my best today. I can still work. I can still do stuff. And I'm going to go do it. So you need to feel comfortable. And that's the most important thing. Obviously, your ability to adjust your strategies has to be intact if you want to be successful in this business. Strategies. How do you get listings? How do you find leads? What do you say right now to sellers? If a seller calls you, if someone asks you, what do you do best? Like, why should I choose you as my agent? And questions like that, you need to have a strategy for that. If someone tells you, how's the market doing? Is it a good time for me to sell right now? Is it a good time for me to buy right now? Is it a good time for me to invest money in real estate right now? You need to obviously have a strategy for that. You need to have strategies, marketing strategies for a buyer's market and marketing strategies for a seller's market. And then you also need to have the in-between times where the market is not moving as much. Look, when you're in a buyer's market, you're going to make money. Okay, there's going to be a lot of listings on the market, and buyers are going to be more picky, but there's going to be transactions done. So there is a market. a buyer's market is still a market, and you can make money in a market. A seller's market is a seller's market. Right now, you're in it, and you can see where the money is. But no matter how you look at the business, in my opinion, when you go after listings and you have strategies for buyer's market and sellers markets to go get listings, you will always be successful, and you have no fear because you're always going after listings and you're receiving them. And when you market yourself as a listing agent, listing specialist, pricing specialist, any one of those. All right, so you need to be able to improve your adaptability and be able to change your strategies as changes come your way. For example, NAR changed right now. They want everybody to sign a buyer exclusive agreement, which is, in my opinion, a fantastic thing. I could never get everybody to do it. There's always this, it's always hard to get someone to do something. They need to want to do it. And if they don't want to do it, you can't convince someone to do something they don't want to do. Right? But those who wanted to grow and follow the system, meeting with buyers, doing a buyer consultation, showing them the benefits of working with you, have a 1-page, 2-page, 3-page list of benefits of why people should choose you, go through the list with them, let them ask questions, handle objections, and then go for the signature, let them sign. They need to sign that they work exclusively with you. So you're not just a chauffeur showing people homes and then they buy a house through a different agent. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. You don't need NAR to be in a lawsuit in order to figure out that this is something you should have been doing a long time ago. So that's why I'm telling you, you got to do things right even if it feels uncomfortable. Yes, it's a little bit more comfortable putting people in the car without having them sign an agreement because I don't have to go through this uncomfortable feeling of selling them. But real estate is about sales. And if you want to do it at high levels, you need to be able to accept the fact that you're a salesperson and then invest in skills that will help you become a better salesperson. So adaptability is number one. Number two is strategic preparation and planning. You need to understand how to plan, how to write a plan that makes sense, that is synchronized with the market changes, with what's happening right now. You need to be able to write a plan and prepare a plan, which is really your strategy. It's a marketing strategy, it's a prospecting strategy, it's a lead generation strategy, it's a lead conversion strategy, it's delegating strategy. You have a strategy for every single little thing that when it comes your way, you already know how it's done. So you're not surprised by it. You're prepared. And that's what it's all about. If you're prepared for the change comes in and you're taking it as an opportunity. You had many changes in your life. Some probably left a scar. Others, maybe you took as an advantage and, it brought you higher in your agenda, in your path, in your journey. And that's what it's all about. You got to be prepared and feel comfortable with changes. Okay? The more comfortable you feel, the better you can utilize the change into an opportunity and stop being scared. There should be no anxiety when change comes. There should be a different energy. And if you have the anxiety, yeah, it is natural. It's natural when you didn't go through many changes before. Maybe when you have no faith, it can become a problem. Person has no faith, is not going to feel very comfortable when changes come. They're going to have some, serious anxiety and fear. But if you believe that every change is for good, and you believe that everything that's coming your way is for your own benefit, you then take a different advantage of the opportunities that come your way because you feel synchronized with what's coming to you, with the gifts, with the blessings, and you accept the blessings, and then you receive blessings. The fact that light is coming doesn't mean you're going to, contain it. There could be a lot of blessings around you, but it doesn't touch you because you're not prepared. You're not preparing yourself to accept because of fear. For example, fear repels good energy. Fear repels people, repels opportunities. It's like the opposite of a magnet. You're pushing away what you want because you fear something. So you got to get rid of the fears. Now, how do you know if you have fear? How do you know which fear you have? How do you know how to get rid of fears? That's all. These are all great questions, which we talk about slowly as we go through this process. Okay, but everybody has fears. Everybody fears something. All right, number 3 is urgency. And I'm talking about urgency versus time management. We spoke about urgency a little bit in time management, like how you put out fires instead of doing the things that are on your schedule, okay, which is another way showing you that you're not adapting to what needs to happen. You're just trying to cling into, you keep fighting it. This is who I am. This is who I am. This is how I am. This is how I am. This is how I'm built. I have a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago about waking up late because they go to sleep very late, go to sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. every morning, every night, excuse me, every single night, going to sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Obviously, you're not going to wake up at 5. So this person wakes up at 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock. When you do that, your body is not as healthy as it could be. And everything else is not really synchronized. The answer was, I'm a night person. When you say that I'm a night person, you also say, I choose to fail on purpose. Because a night person, someone who stays in front of the TV or somewhere else until 3 a.m. every morning, goes to sleep at 3, wakes up at 10, lost all the opportunities available in real estate. Yeah, you can still do some showings and work with some buyers. Yeah, but it's not going, and it's never going to be the same as your full potential. Your full potential is in a different place. And the fact that you convince yourself that you're a night person is one of the reasons that you fail in this business. So the real question is, what kind of conversations you're having with yourself about yourself and about what it is that you're capable of doing or not doing, what it is that you're selling yourself and buying into is going to determine a lot about your results and what happens to you when changes come and what happens to you when you need to adapt and have different strategies, make some changes. If you're not flexible to change yourself, you're not going to be flexible changing what's outside of you. Well, Ron, I'm not really a tech guy. I don't like tech. I don't like CRMs. I'm old-fashioned. I like to do things. No problem. You can stay and be an old-fashioned person. Just take into consideration that you're going to spend 2 times more doing certain tasks rather than take a week, take 2 weeks, take a month, take 3 months to study a system and learn how to work with it so that you can speed up double the time, double the results. I mean, you got to be able to adjust yourself and make changes. So when you approach anything in this business or any business, you got to look at it. You can only get what you deserve to get, and what you deserve is your capacity to align, to synchronize with the successful person that you wish to be. If you want to make $500,000 a year from selling real estate listings and selling real estate, if you want to be successful at doing that, if you want to make $500,000 a year from buying and flipping, okay? If you want to make money in your business, any kind of business that is on a higher bracket of income, you need to make some changes, because if you last year you made 50,000 and now you want to make 500,000, I tell you right off the bat, the person who makes 50 cannot make 500,000. It takes 2 different people with 2 completely different discipline, level of discipline and focus and consistency and persistence. It's a different person that makes 500. When you're making 50 and you wake up at 10 a.m. and you go to sleep at 3 a.m., yeah, 50 is the income. But when you want to go to 500, you got to make some real changes. I'm not even talking about the schedule and the prospecting, what you said when you call. I'm not talking about skills. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm talking about being able to receive what's coming. Urgency versus time management. If you keep putting out fires and you're not following a specific schedule, when there come a change in the market, buyer's market to sales market and vice versa, or changes like what's happening right now, a new law, a new rule, maybe you change companies, maybe you're changing markets, any type of change that will happen in your market will break you. Because if you're just attending urgencies, that's going to take away 80% of your time, and you're not going to have enough time to generate leads. So if you take your mind off of generating leads, which is the most important thing in your business, and you start focusing on putting out fires. Another thing that I see many times happening, by the way, just to emphasize the point here, is many agents, they prospect, like they get into the system, they start to prospect, calling people, calling, following up, following the schedule we're giving, 7:45 a.m., start calling until 11:30, make 1 hour follow-up calls, book appointments, etc. They start to follow the system, and then they get a lead or 2 leads or 3 leads, and then they go convert the leads to listings. Now, all of a sudden, they don't call anymore from 7:45 to 12 because they're busy putting open house signs and ordering postcards and attending this and that. And the seller asked me to go to City Hall. I got to take care of this and that before we sell. And then they start, and they lose momentum. They lose momentum. Why? Urgency versus time management. So if you want to be prepared for any change coming and never be panicking and feeling anxiety, as a matter of fact, you're going to smile because you know that the majority of people are going to feel anxious and many of them will drop out, which leaves a lot more business on the table for you to pick up. And that's what's going to happen every single time every time there is a shift in the market, the top producers that are smart, they know, intelligent, and they already prepare themselves and they feel comfortable to feel uncomfortable in situations. Okay, they forced themselves to go through self-development. They understood that they need to make a change inside of themselves before the business can deliver the results that they want. They need to match point A to point B with energy, with skill, with commitment, etc. They understand that. Therefore, they're getting the results they should be getting, and they're prepared for it. So they take advantage. When people leave the business, they leave more. There's a lot more business for them to pick up. A lot more business. I mean, the research that I read so far in the last 2 weeks with this lawsuit stuff with NAR, I read somewhere 40% of the agents are going to leave the business. 40% is a lot. A lot. These are agents that do between 1 and 5 deals a year. So if we take an average of, say, 2.5 deals times 40% of the agents in your market, okay, we're talking about, for example, in Rhode Island, you don't have too many agents over there. I mean, we got maybe 5,000-6,000 agents. So you're talking about what, like 2,000, 3,000 agents leaving. If they do 2 deals each, that's 4,000 deals. 4,000 more deals on the table are left for the agents to pick up. Now, if you want to be the top 10% that are making more than 80% of the money in your market, then you need to really up your game. Big time. All across the board, by the way. It's a full commitment to make changes all across the board, meaning you need to be the one waking up first. Like if I showed you when people go to sleep and wake up in your market, you need to wake up before they do, and you need to leave work after everyone else already left. Then you leave. You work more than anyone else, and you wake up earlier than anyone else. That's how you gain momentum in this business. And you need to be consistent with that. So urgency versus time management. And then number 4, continued learning. If you think you already know it all or you know enough, yeah, maybe you know a lot of stuff already and you need to start taking action. But I'm not talking about learning, reading a book or going to, a seminar. I'm talking about self-development. I always talk about when I talk about learning, I'm talking about self-development. You also want to learn from other people's experience. So you want to come across other successful people and learn from their experience. The majority of books that I read, and I read a lot of business books and self-success and all these different books out there, they're more or less the same. And reading the book is not going to do you anything. Like I never became successful because I read the book. I became successful because I took something from the book and I started doing the work on myself with discipline. Success equals high self-discipline and vice versa. High levels of self-discipline, the ability to discipline yourself equals success. And you don't have to see it immediately. It will come to you with time, because the change you're making, how do you know you made a change unless you let enough time pass to see that you made a change? Judge yourself when times are hard. Don't judge yourself when times are good. Don't look at yourself and say, I'm a big shot. I already know what to do. I already know everything. You know, I know enough. I don't need to learn more. I don't need coaching. I don't need accountability. I don't need this. I don't need that, because I already know everything. I don't need an assistant. I don't need someone to help me with this. I don't need someone to help me. That's probably the safest way for you to stay small. Stay small. Do everything. You know what it means to stay small in our business? It doesn't necessarily mean you're not making enough money. You can make $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a year and have zero life, because you're 24/7. Your business is 24/7. It's open 24/7. And that's because you don't want to delegate, you don't want to strategize, you don't want to take the time to hire people and train them and do what needs to be done in order for you to really have a business so you can have a life. This business can take your life away very quickly, huh? Very quickly. If I gave you 25 listings tomorrow morning, here, 25 listings, you will have no life 24/7. You go into 24/7 and you will have no life. And yeah, by the time you finish it, maybe you made 200, 250,000. Yeah, maybe. But you had no life. And then you always start from scratch because you're one person show. There's nothing to delegate. You're not using leverage. So, and again, going into using leverage, give you an example. You need to hire an assistant, but you're scared. You're scared. You're scared of the commitment. You're scared of the responsibility. You never hired anybody before. It's a commitment. You know, it's a big commitment to commit yourself to someone else. It's a big commitment financially, etc. And you're scared. Therefore, what happens when you're scared? You don't do. You want to hire a coach, but you're scared. What if you want to hire a coach? Yeah, but you're scared. Okay, it's not a problem. What happens to you? You stay in the same place. You can't have the cake and eat it too. You got to make a choice here. What do you want? You want to become successful? Follow the path. Every single successful person out there did this more or less. Read all the books, and I want you to go read the best 25 top listed New York Times best-selling books on business. Read all of them and take out 5 things in common with all these books. 5 things in common. And these 5 things will be the same all across the board in any industry. All the coaches speak about it the same. This person is emphasizing more about this one, and the other one is more about that one, but they're all the same at the end of the day.
I noticed that I listened to a lot of podcasts, and after a while, I started noticing they all say the same thing.
Right? Same thing, different voice. Same thing, different delivery style. But it's the same stuff. I mean, there comes a times when you say, I'm sick and tired of it already. Like, I need to go and do the work. The work, guys, the work is really in the mirror. The 90% of the work that I'm going to have you do is in the mirror. We have to work on yourself, on you. You got to be fearless. If you want to go to $1 million a year, Lisette Guzman, $1 million a year is a fearless space where you're not scared of the next step. You're embracing it. And it doesn't mean that it's that. Look, you can still be scared and do it. And that's when you win. Be scared of it. It's okay. I was, but I did it anyway. And then the next thing that I had to do, because when I hired my first full-time assistant, I was forced to hire another one because I did so much more volume that I had to have another person helping me. And then I hired the second assistant, and then I was like, okay, that's it. I have to bring in some buyer's agents because I couldn't handle the. I was getting so many buyer calls that we probably wouldn't call half of them. So, and that's a good problem to have. But you gotta go through the fear be scared. It's not a problem. If you made a commitment, you know what it means? You need to wake up earlier in the morning and work more hours, at least the first 24 months. Like, never make a commitment for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It's not really, 6 months is not a commitment. It's just like you're just starting. You're on first gear in a sports car with eight gears. You're on the first gear, 6 months. That's what it means. You got to make a long-term commitment and understand what point B means. If point B for you means I feel more comfortable making phone calls for sale by owners, great. That can happen in 3 months, maybe even less, if that's really the goal. But you have many different goals that you need to achieve on the way to become what you wish to become, and the level of success that you want to attract to yourself. You want to go to point B from where you are right now. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of work. And it takes time. Changing takes time, and it's hard. It's hard to put aside your ego. We all have pride. We all want to be respected, and that's all stupid because it works against us. Pride is the opposite of humbleness. Blessing comes to those that are humble. It doesn't come to pride. If you have any type of pride in you, you need to get rid of it in order to become more successful. And that's what I'm talking about. You take all the bad values inside of you that we all have, and you work on them. You start peeling it, layer and another layer and another, and it's painful and it doesn't feel so good, and then you go outside and you make a mistake. You go back into the mirror, look at yourself, and you're like, I can't believe you just did that again. Like, I spoke to you already about this. How can you keep doing the same mistakes? Mm-hmm. Right? Jumping with anger, reacting to something someone said, all that stuff is happening to us all the time. That's because we still need to work on ourselves. And by the way, self-development work never ends. It's something that you will finish when you die. You need to continue to evolve as long as you're alive. Mm-hmm. So if you're comfortable where you are, and I know you're not, then you don't need to make any changes. But if you want to make, you want to go to a different level, you got to make the change is in you. You got to make some commitments. You know why you failed in the past. You know what was missing. And you need to go against the fear. I'm not talking about making stupid financial commitments. I'm talking about making smart, calculated decisions at the right time, when is needed. If you do less than 25 transactions a year, you do not need a personal assistant. Do you understand? You don't need a personal assistant. You need to do everything, but you need to do a lot more. And you should be, if you're following an aggressive program where you're lead generating 80% of your day, 80% of your day, you are lead generating. It's uncomfortable. You're going to be tired. Your body's going to break down. You're going to get flu and this and COVID and all the rest of the stuff that's out there. You're going to get it. Why? Because you're becoming weaker and weaker, because you're really working. You're working on yourself. But as you're developing, going forward, your body will adjust and become stronger. That's why I'm saying wake up early, drink 2 glasses of water, sneakers on your feet, go outside the door and walk 20 minutes in this direction, turn around 20 minutes in that direction, and walk as fast as possible. By the time you get back home, you take a shower, your body is already healthier. Eat a light breakfast, drink more water, go to your desk, start working, role-playing, reading scripts, handwriting scripts, preparing yourself. Boom, 7:45, start making phone calls. Hit the phone, don't stop until 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, follow-up calls until 1. 1 o'clock, lunch break. Lunch break, after lunch, sit down, relax, listen to some classic music or whatever music calms you down. Calm yourself down, go into a meditative state, fall asleep for 20 minutes, put your watch to wake you up, or your phone wake you up in 25, 30 minutes, take a nap. Wake up, go back, check your emails, return all the emails, stop putting out fires, go back on the phone or go door knocking and continue prospecting. That's what your day should look like. That's really what a major blast behavior is all about. So number 5 on this list, we spoke about number 1, adaptability. your ability to adjust your strategies. Number 2, strategic preparation and planning. Number 3, we spoke about urgency versus time management. Number 4, continued learning and investing in yourself and doing your self-development work. And number 5, mastermind group. You need to surround yourself with the right group of people. You definitely need a coach. You need a life coach. You need a real estate coach. Maybe you need a coach at the gym to help you speed up the process of what needs to happen over there. Okay? Maybe you need to speak with a dietitian, nutritionist, doctor. You need to speak with an accountant. You need to open up your S Corp or LLC and start working and building a business instead of working, you know what I'm talking about. You go to the next level. Your mastermind group is also other agents that are successful that you meet with, people you learn from, books you read, etc. Podcast, YouTube videos, you name it. You surround yourself with that stuff and mindset, and then you go and you do the work, and then you hire somebody, maybe a few people, to hold you accountable. Holding you accountable, because you're not gonna do it by yourself. Next week when you come here, I want to give you a challenge. I want us to be able, because I want to give this gift to more people, this free coaching weekly, etc. Okay? We need more people showing up here. I know you know at least a handful of agents that are struggling, or they could go to a different level, or they're not there yet, whatever the story is. I invite you to invite more people to this call. Give them the link. Tell them, hey, I participated in this coaching session. Trust me, you need it. And that's it. Just share it and start bringing in more people. When you bring them in, by the way, we'll introduce them to the group and then let them feel comfortable with what we're doing here. All right. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you, mister.
Thank you.
Have a great day.